YouTubers, Pastor Bob in CC. Hey, I want to talk to you for just a minute about the handcuffs that Satan likes to put on people. And you can find 4 of them in Psalms 107. And the first one we're going to talk about is loneliness. And it starts in Psalms 107 verse 4 to 7. This is what it says. They wandered in the wilderness in a solitary way. They found no city to dwell in. Hungry and thirsty, their soul fainted in them. Then they cried unto the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them out of their distress. And he led them forth by the right way, that they might go to a city of habitation. You know, loneliness is something that everyone experiences every once in a while. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter how many friends you have, family, you can be in a city and still be lonely. Loneliness comes upon people. And it's one of those bondages where Satan just keeps putting thoughts in your head. You know, nobody loves you, you're alone, it's never going to get better, and it just gets bad. But you know what? It's a bad bondage because you think, when you're lonely, you think there's no one you can turn to. Nobody. But you know what? You always have God. And you know, I've always said that if you put me in prison and you threw me in a prison cell, you could literally lock the door. And as long as I had my Bible, I'd be okay. I mean, if I didn't have my Bible, I'd probably go crazy. But if I did, I would be okay. Because you have to always have it in your mindset that God is the only one you need. God's the only one you need. He's enough. And the next one it's found in 107, 10 to 14. And this is addiction. Such as sit in darkness in the shadow of death, being bound in affliction and iron, because they rebelled against the words of God and contemned the counsel of the Most High. Therefore he brought them down in their heart with labor. They fell down, and there was none to help. And they cried unto the Lord in their trouble, and he saved them out of their distress. He brought them out of the darkness, out of the shadow of death, and broke their bands asunder. The reason that addiction is so bad is because normally the one who's addicted doesn't even know he's addicted. You know, I watched a show the other day about San Francisco and LA, and it showed some of the homeless, and some of these people are so stoned, so addicted to drugs that they can barely stand up. They're like in a comatose state. They're bouncing off cars, bouncing off buildings, trying to make it down the sidewalk, and they're literally just out of their mind. And this is no kidding. One time I was working in San Francisco, me and a friend of mine, and we got done at about 6 o'clock at night. And we walked out of the building, and there was this person that was literally propped up against a light pole in a building. He was like wedged up in the corner, and he was just completely out of his mind, just sitting there like comatose. 6 o'clock at night, and we left. We got back in the morning at about 8 o'clock, and he was still in that same position. He never moved. And that's the thing about addicts. They don't know they're addicts. I've often wondered how it would be if you were stoned all the time, or if you were drunk all the time. That was your normal state. That's how we were created, in a drunk state or in a stoned state. And then imagine if someone gave you a pill and it made you normal, made you absolutely normal, just like you are right now. You would think that was the greatest drug in the world, and you would never, ever, ever want to be without it. So the next is the self-afflicted, and that's found in Psalms 107, 17 to 20. It said, fools, because of their transgression, because of their iniquities, are afflicted. Their soul abhors all manner of meat, they draw nigh unto the gates of death. Then they cry unto the Lord in their trouble, and he saves them out of their distress. He sends his word and heals them, and delivers them from their destruction. Self-affliction is so bad, and the reason it is is because you think because you brought it on yourself, you deserve what's happened to you. And you kind of have this feeling that you can't cry out, you can't ask for help, because you realize, well, you got yourself into this mess, you got to get yourself out. It's that kind of thinking. You know what? I can turn around and look back at 66 years of me getting myself in messes. And every time I have, God's always gotten me out. He just does. So listen, even if you got yourself into this mess, you can ask God for help, and He will help you. And the next one talks about people in business, people in financial needs. And it's found in Psalms 107, 23 to 30. And this also mirrors the disciples when they were in the ship in Matthew 8, 23 to 27. This is what it says. They that go down to the sea in ships, that do business in great waters, these see the works of the Lord and His wonders in the deep. For He commands and raises the stormy wind, which lifts up the waves thereof. They mount up to the heavens, they go down to the depths. Their soul is melted because of trouble. They reel to and fro, they stagger like drunken men. And at their wits' end they cry unto the Lord in their trouble, and He brings them out of their distress. He makes the storm a calm, so that the waves thereof are still. Then they are glad because they be quiet, and He brings them to their desired haven. People, I have known and worked for a lot of small businessmen and women. And you know what? I don't think I've ever known any group of people that are under more stress than someone that owns their own business. And you don't think that's true? Ask one of them. They have other families that depend on them. They have a payroll they have to meet every 2 weeks. It's very difficult. And this applies to anybody that's under financial stress and financial hardship. Listen, God can help. God can help. But on this one here is one of the ones where you have to do your part. You have to change your spending habits. I have known people that have declared bankruptcy 4 and 5 times. I know people that get into debt, out of debt, in debt, out of debt. They never seem to learn. But you know what? Even after the second, third time, God can still help. God can help you with your finances if you're in financial trouble. He always will. So listen. Anyone can fall into any one of these 4 traps of the devil in their lifetime. Sometimes we go from trap to trap. We never learn. All these are things that Satan uses to bind us. This is what it says in John 8, 31 to 32. Then said Jesus to those Jews which believed on Him, If you continue in my word, you are my disciples indeed, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. People, I want you to write this in your Bible next to John 8, 31 and 32. And this is a life lesson you need to know. If the truth sets you free, then error will bind you. Anything that has you bound is error. Whether it be a person, a place, or a thing, if it brings fear and doubt, if it binds you, it's error. It's always error if it binds you. Listen, all of us feel alone. Sometimes we get addicted to something. Sometimes it's self-inflicted. And sometimes our finances just go right down the tubes. But people, God can always help. No matter what it is, no matter how bad you think it is, even if you brought it on yourself, God will help you. Remember, the truth shall set you free. Heaven or hell, you choose. Just remember, once you take your last breath, it's a done deal.
Bye.